In this video today, I want to talk to you why showing up in person beats sending out emails and automation and all those things. So I have my notes here. There's really just two main reasons that I saw. Reason number one, people are now craving human attention. And reason number two, trust. So first I want to talk about building like real human connections, because we live in a day and age to where when we're back in the day, you could go outside and the only way you know that your neighbor had a new car is if you literally saw your neighbor had a new car. But the age we live in today is everybody's constantly online, everybody's constantly on social media showing everything. So we no longer have to compare ourselves just to our neighbors. We're comparing ourselves and our success and our failures and everything to a mass community. And the problem with that is not everything that everyone shows is the true full story. So when you show up and talk to people in real life, when you show up and talk to people face to face, they can get a better picture of who you are. You are activating the five senses, so to speak. They can see you, they can shake your hand and touch you, they can smell you, whether good or bad. They can get all those senses that they can't normally get when they're just watching a video or seeing an email and reading an email. They actually hear your voice, the way it sounds when you talk to them, not a perceived expectation of how an email transcribed back to them or how a text message sounds to them. When you're speaking to someone, they can actually feel the message in the way that you want to see it. So maybe you're really passionate about your photography and you type an email and someone reads it, but they can't really feel the passion behind your email. Or maybe you do a video and you have to rerun it so many times to where you've kind of lost that authenticity that you once had when you were really trying to pour out your heart about how passionate you were about it. See, the thing about being in front of your customers in real life is they get to see that passion, that drive. It's unscripted, it's unedited, it's real, it's raw. And that's something that I feel that we're missing today in the market is people are putting up the finished, full, polished, this is me, perfect, everywhere we look. And it's causing us to wonder, especially now that AI is taking over with these videos. And I don't think there's anything wrong with AI. I think it has its place, but we are often using AI as a different persona in a lot of ways. How do we speak to people? How do we communicate with people? Maybe not necessarily in a speech, but like in thought. Like if we're relying so much, and Chelsea tells me this all the time, am I relying on AI so much that I'm not even my real self anymore? And that's a slippery slope, right? Because you want to feel that you're telling it to do all the things that you want it to do, but in a sense, are you losing yourself if you're relying on it too much? And I'm glad that I have Chelsea because she always keeps me right where I need to be, not too far to the crazy, not too far to the safe. So she keeps me right in that middle to where I'm still trailblazing, but I'm doing it safely. And one thing that I noticed with the AI when I first started, I really was trying to figure out what can you do? What do you know? How can I utilize you to help my life become easier? And I noticed that there was still a lot of limitations and there's still a lot of things that it needs to be taught. Like for instance, me, I like to use ChatGPT. And actually today, it's November 18th when I'm recording this, and ChatGPT is down because of some website called Cloudflare has failed. And if you're trying to get on it, you can't get on it right now. So this is cool to kind of make a video without having my little outlines that I would normally kind of chop up before I talk, just so I'm a little bit more focused on the topics. Obviously, whenever you're trying to build your authentic self, right, in your business and build your brand, there's going to be some parts of it that need to be kind of shaped and molded so you're more approachable to customers. But you can still do that when you're yourself, just by being there in the moment, listening to customers, finding out what works for them, finding out what doesn't work for them. And those small conversations begin to refine and sharpen and shape who you are authentically, versus coming up with a complete persona that has nothing to do with actually who you are. I was listening to a guy named Omar El-Takori. He's on YouTube. He's a very popular YouTuber. And he was saying, one of the guys he was sitting down was saying, hey, sometimes I'll go, the guy was an influencer. He said, sometimes I'll go sit down with influencers and I'll see all their content, and I'm so excited to meet them. And then when I start talking to them, they're nothing like they are online. And he was very, very confused on why some people are like that. And I think what's happening is a lot of us, or not a lot of us, but some people are becoming so wrapped up in who they are online that they can't even keep it up in real life. And that's something that I didn't want to struggle with. And Chelsea, she's always on point. She can always see when things are starting to, like I said, go one way or the other. So she always keeps me down the middle. But to make sure I'm still who I am in every aspect of my business. So showing up is key, because your customer gets to really talk to you, really get to see what you're trying to portray to them, your message, how you're messaging it, why it makes sense, why it doesn't make sense. They can ask you questions in real time. You can answer questions, and just being there. And another thing, that when you're there in front of them, it's time. It's like, it's not necessarily on demand. It's live. It's real. We live in a world. I remember when TiVo first came out, that was like a huge thing. You could like record the TV. I think I was in high school. This is between 2021 and 2025, somewhere around there. I remember TiVo was like the rage, to where you could record live TV, come back and watch it later whenever you wanted. And they had these little hard drives. And obviously TV, it wasn't 8K or 4K back then. It was, I think we were just getting into HDMI. Like, we still had the yellow, the white, and the red. Then you plug in the back of your TV or your DVD player. And that was just, oh my goodness, the best definition you could see. And flat screen TVs were coming out. But TiVo, you know, it was probably not even a 2 gigabyte hard drive. I don't know how big it was. You can look that up. But you could get TV literally on demand whenever you wanted. So if you were at practice and you wanted to watch Dragon Ball Z, if you didn't want to hook up your VCR and record it on the tape, if you had TiVo, which was very, very nice, you could just hit record. And when you got home, you could go sit down. You could watch your show that you missed. And I remember, I think it was like DirecTV or somebody that came out with a package to where you could have DirecTV and TiVo, and it was cheaper than cable. So some kind of way we ended up having it for a little while, but you could only have TiVo in one room. And that was a big hoopla. But I'm saying all that to say this. People are getting tired of the on-demand content. They want something that's real. They want something that's live. They want something that's in their face. They want to know that you actually care and that you're there. So trust is another thing that's huge right now, because we have all this AI, these videos online, to where we don't know if it's real or we don't know if it's fake. I see a lady cutting a cat cake, and a cat sitting next to her, and the cat's freaking out that the lady's cutting the cake. And I'm thinking this is real. And Chelsea's like, I don't think that video is real. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. It's so hard to tell now. And I'm thankful that a lot of the videos online, they have like the little Sora thing on it, because we actually have access to Sora in our studio, but we haven't really dived into using it in any type of way, because I feel like it's a way to kind of like start removing the human element out of a lot of stuff that we do. And don't get me wrong, I'm all down for AI where it has its place, but I think with getting my customers, I feel like automation is a better way to go. And the thing that I love about automation is, obviously we use 17 Hats, and 17 Hats is a big proponent of how we communicate with our clients. So automation helps me get messages across the clients faster, that are questions that I get all the time. So like how to book something, how to book a date, you know, there's literally no reason why me and a client should have to go back and forth 19 times to book a date. It's something as simple as getting a calendar, putting it out there, and then letting them find a time that works best for them. That's automation. Versus AI would be maybe like a AI personality of me talking to a client and going back and forth with them in real time. And then a message pops up on my screen and says, oh, so-and-so is interested in day 1, day 2, or day 3. And there's an avatar that looks like me going back and forth, either on the phone or on a video call, going back and forth with them. This is where I start to feel like we're starting to lose our way in utilizing AI. And what that does is that makes the customer not trust you, because if you're showing up to do the actual work and a client is talking to you about something that you said to them through an AI avatar, you're going to look pretty silly if you don't disclose that that was an AI up front. And it just starts to become a really slippery slope. So trust is huge whenever you're trying to market your business, because at the main heart of it all, people want to do business with people who they know, they built a relationship with, that they trust. And that's why I keep saying trust, because it's such a huge thing, because we live in a world to where it's just uncertain right now where truth is. And it seems so simple that I'm literally just talking about the same thing over and over again, but I think it's often overlooked. And even when I was playing football, I remember we had a coach. His name was Coach Felix Sema. Great guy. I saw him the other day at Starbucks with his family. He has some family that lives in Alaska, and he has some family that lives somewhere else. But the family from Alaska was down, and we were at Starbucks getting some coffee, and Coach Sema was in the parking lot, and I was so excited to see him because I hadn't seen him in a while. And I said, "Hey, Coach Sema, how you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing good," or whatever. It was super cool. And Coach Sema used to tell us, "Hey, in the football game, just trust what your eyes see." He would prepare us as, I was an outside linebacker, defensive end in high school, and he coached mainly the linebackers. But I always would hear him say in practice when we're in the huddle, trust what your eyes see. Just trust what your eyes see. If you don't know the play, if they're showing the guards are pulling left, then there's a good chance the ball's going left. If the guards are pulling right, there's a good chance the ball's going right. So if you just trust what your eyes see, then you get the real message. And we don't want to lose that as a society. We always want to make sure that what we see is what we get. And that's the beautiful thing about showing up. What people see when you're in front of them, talking to them, that's what they get. So this whole idea to sit down and talk about this came up from me last weekend. I did some family minis in the morning, and then there was a large basketball tournament in our area. It had most of the teams that I worked with in it and several teams that I've never worked with. So my idea was to go in there with my printer and run some on-site printing and do some different things so people could come and buy prints from me while I was there, like action shots and some other like portrait type pose stuff. I have these big light banks that you can stand in front of, and I can click and it can throw kind of like the tournament like branding behind the player. So that was kind of my idea. But when I got to the gym was totally full. So I'm in the gym and I'm like, Lord, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I had packed all this stuff. I have all this stuff in my car. I rolled this stuff in on my wagon. And there's the spot that the coach gave me was a nice spot. It had lots of white light in there. It had some subway tiles. It was very bright. Ideal spot for photography. But what I was trying to do was go in there and take photos. And I needed a place to plug my printer, a place to plug my lights if they died and charge them. And the spot that he offered me, like I said, was a great spot for photography, and we actually shot there before, but it wasn't going to work for the idea that I had. So what ended up happening is I decided I have to make the most of the opportunity while I'm here today. So I packed all this stuff. I can't really do the first idea that I had. So I just walked around and I took photos, action shots of players, and I visited with coaches that I worked with this season just to catch up with them, make sure everything was great. And then I also got to be in front of some coaches that I never got to work with. So I was able to make some of those real, authentic, trustworthy conversations with coaches that I never had the opportunity to get FaceTime with. And at first when I was doing it, I didn't think much of it because I was just walking around talking to people, taking a few photos, letting the coach know, hey, I'm gonna get some action shots of your team while the game's going. Nothing huge, nothing major. Like, if you guys need them, just let me know. We can figure out all the specifics later. But if this is a value to you, let me know and I can take care of that. And I used to go and photograph teams, and my client was always the parent for that. But I'm noticing that the industry is starting to shift to where the teams need more content to put out throughout the season versus the parents who would buy it for sentimental reasons. It's more valuable to the teams to have so they can continue to utilize it throughout the season and kind of tell the story of where the season's going in real time. So I was at that tournament. Like I said, I talked to several people and I didn't think anything of it. I just said, hey, it's a good time. Maybe we'll make something, maybe we won't. I didn't have any expectations or anything. But I kid you not, on Monday I get to the studio and I got a message from a coach asking us to come out and do some senior banners for him. And it was a coach that we hadn't worked with for a team that we hadn't worked with for about 7-8 years ago. You know, that was the last time we worked with him, was 7-8 years ago. And he reached out and he wants us to make his senior banners. So we got a date on the calendar yesterday. Our office lady, Miss Janae, she got a date on the calendar. Chelsea sent out the quote, and now we're photographing some banners for him, and that's going to be a really good sell for us. It's going to be a really good value for the players because they'll have those banners up in their gym pretty quickly after we do the shoot, because we refined a lot of the processes that we have in here. But I say all that to say, if I wouldn't have shown up, if I got there and I looked around and said, what the idea that I have, it's just not going to work in here, because yeah, I was a little frustrated at first because I had all these grandiose ideas and I was like, if I sell this many prints and this many teams are in it and this, I had all these ideas, but the Lord had something different from me. And if I'd have just been frustrated and focused on what I missed out on, I never could have saw what I actually had. And this job that we got on Monday is going to make just as much, if not more, than what I would end up making just running off prints and doing action stuff all day. So I kind of looked at this, speaking out loud about it now, what I start to think is this showing up in person, it was just a way to start kind of giving people like a live in-person kind of lead magnet of who I am personally, because players will come up afterwards and ask us, hey, how do I get the photos? Or hey, how do I do this? And I was like explaining to them, hey, you know, we're gonna make a little gallery to where you guys can see them. If you want to get you a copy, you can get it on there. Just something real basic, you know. They'll have to go through and cull through them themselves. We'll get rid of the blinks. We'll get rid of all the things that, like all the photos that were not good. And we've gotten some DMs already, and this was just last Saturday that I was doing that, and it's Tuesday today. So those photos that I got during that time will be an opportunity for me to connect with some of the students who will in turn become seniors one day. And now we have messages going back and forth in social media. So now my content is now going to pop up in their feed more regular, because the algorithm knows that we've had a conversation together and they're actually interested in what we do. And we're interested in them. So their stuff will pop up on our end if we follow them. And to me, that's pretty incredible how just showing up and, like I said, having a real human connection and building trust with people, how you can foster so much momentum when it comes to marketing. Because yes, emails and yes, text message reminders and all that, it does build a sense of top of mindness. But it also is very, very cluttered. It's a cluttered space. And I feel like a lot of companies right now, we're trying to just get so big and so wide and just touch so many people that we're missing this human element, and that we're missing the trust building phase, because we're trying to do that digitally through an email or a text or a short form video or something like that to where we can capture their attention? What if we just kind of flipped it and we just started showing up and started recording content with customers and started recording content of how we do things? And sitting here saying all this, it kind of makes me realize over the last August, September, October, well, really late July, August, September, October, November, we've actually been doing that on our social media platform, and we've noticed a ton of growth in the platform just by showing us with a real authentic human connection. Now, I know not every business gets the opportunity to be in front of their customers like we are, because when you're doing photography, you literally have to be in front of the customer to get it done. Otherwise, it kind of doesn't work. But as a photographer, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity just by showing up and just being there with the client and making the most out of every opportunity that you have. Like when I was at the tournament, literally I was seeing middle school players that I photographed. They were there at the tournament too. And it was just such a unique thing to see everybody and just touch base with them and just have a good time. So if you feel like your marketing is struggling right now and you're not getting the sessions that you want or you're not getting the bookings that you want, give it a try. Go out and get in front of some customers with your photography or whatever type of business you do. If you have the chance to get in front of people and have real human communications, real human conversations and build trust, get out there and do it. And this is what I have for you today. So super excited to be on here again, and just want to let you guys know I will be speaking in Nashville in January at IUSA Imaging USA, and you can catch my class. I'm going to be talking about sports photography and how you can make your sports photography, portrait photography mainly, how you can make that photography dynamic to where parents just want to buy more than one pose and want to go ahead and fill up their shopping cart and spend money with you. And that's one thing I want you all to know. So if you're out in the Nashville area or anywhere drivable distance, check it out. It's going to be a great time. Imaging USA is done by Professional Photographers of America. It's one of the biggest photography trade shows out there, and I'm honored to be speaking for a second time at Imaging USA. I remember the first year I went to Imaging USA, I only had one kid, and that was 2011. I remember my sister-in-law, it was 2011. I remember my sister-in-law came, and she was in the car, and she was riding with us from Lake Charles to Atlanta, and it was such a great time. And I was like, Chelsea, these people, they know so much about photography. And the unlocks that I had that week were insane, because I was so new to photography. It must have been 2011 or 2012. It was early. I was so new to photography that, just to put it in retrospect, like Lindsay Adler, she was just like popping off. And we all know that Lindsay Adler, she's been around forever. And some kind of way she hasn't aged a day though. But she was just starting to really like pop off at that time. And I saw her and I saw some other people who might not still be in the business, but I learned so much from them, like Bambi Cantrell. Like there was just so many legends there when I went. And I'm actually honored to be on, I'm not saying I'm a legend or anything, but I'm honored to be back on the stage with Imaging USA and having the opportunity to get in front of somebody and give them the same opportunity to learn from the things that I've learned over the last 14 plus years, almost 15 years, and help them grow their business. So if you're in that Nashville area or you're somewhere around there, check out Imaging USA. And like I said, I'll be on the stage teaching in the sports and volume area, and it'll be a great time. And I'd love to connect with you in person, in real life, and have a conversation with you. All right, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.